Good evening. My name is Couri, and tonight Anton, Perich, and I are in Soho. Very privileged and happy to be at Louise Nevelson's house, where we've just had a fabulous extravaganza in black and white, a benefit party for Merce Cunningham in his dance studio. We're going to hear tonight talk to John Cage, of course, who has done much of the fabulous avant-garde music for Merce's work, and of course in the middle we have Louise Nevelson, sculptress extraordinaire, and then of course Merce Cunningham, who I guess has been the star of the party. So tell me.
Louise Nevelson has been the star of the party. Look at her. Oh, you have to see. No. What am I supposed to say? Just thank.
Can you tell? No, just tell me. Did you have a great time? Or
everyone has been a star. We've had practically, how many? 200 stars? 200.
We've had 200 stars, but some stars shine more than others.
Louise, you've said it. Oh, she looks so marvelous. Yes, it's been a marvelous evening. Absolutely marvelous. There's lots of marvelous people, wonderful, exciting, and a great pleasure to be here.
I think it was a great pleasure for us all to come, and go ahead, Mrs. Nelson.
Well, may I say that this evening has not only been an evening of pleasure, it's been an evening of fulfillment for me personally. I think it is so wonderful that some of us recognize that we're in the presence of greatness, and I'm honored to honor Merce Cunningham and also John Cage.
Louise, all I can do is give you a kiss.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think that that is really something. I think that if more people became aware of that there is an earth, but there are stars, and that without stars, they could not feed their awareness and greatness. And I just bow to the light of these stars. And I think this is one of the highlights of my life.
Oh, Louise, you're a magnificent woman.
Yes, look, he's shedding tears, but I feel like it too.
No.
I think it's been truly, we do things in life, and I've had a long life, but to think that I have so close to me such great creativity, and of course, it may sound funny to anyone else but me, but I just feel that maybe my own awareness has been fulfilled, but I couldn't fulfill it alone. You see?
Would you say that you creatively stimulated each other in your friendship, and you're stimulated in your own work as perhaps John Cage is stimulated by you?
I don't think it's stimulation. I think it's recognition.
It's really fantastic, talking to these three fabulous great people.
It's like breathing.
Can you tell me how you came to first write some music for Merce Cunningham?
Gosh.
Well said.
It was so long ago. It was like, what was it? It was like, this is 74. And I wrote music that Merce danced in the 30s, but I wrote music particularly just for him in like 42, wasn't it? Or 40, 41, 42.
The program we gave together, the first one was, I think, 1944. Yes. We shared a program of my dances and John's music, and he also had written the music for the dances that I was doing at the time. 44, yes.
And it was not in New York, it was in Chicago at the Arts Club. You must know Ruth Shaw, don't you, Louise? Who became president of the Arts Club in Chicago in the early 40s and still is the president, a marvelous woman.
I know, Mr. Cunningham, you've engaged, many artists, fabulous avant-garde artists, Andy Warhol, Robert Rauschenberg, and really the list is endless. Can you tell me how you first you thought of the idea of using contemporary artists to help you with your... Of course, I know the choreography and the sets and the music are all sort of, don't have to be intertwined in a specific way. But can you tell me exactly how you evolved to use these artists in the work that you do?
Well, I like visual ideas. Dancing is one visual element, and another thing is what a visual artist might do. And I always wanted to work with them as well as contemporary composers. So when the opportunities came, I asked them, or sometimes they asked me, and I would accept as much as possible to work with them, particularly, of course, with Robert Rauschenberg and later with Jasper Johns. The idea was about collaboration, not about making a dance which was supported by a visual thing, or a visual object, or sets and costumes, but rather something that the three of us, the dance part, the music part, and the visual part could share together. Some kind of act of people working together, rather than something that supported an object. It was more like a process, or more like a life thing, rather than a particularized thing.
Can you tell me, Mrs. Nevelson, how you came to give the party, and can you tell us a little bit about how it actually came to wear black and white and how we all came to be here?
Yes, I could, but I don't think that is quite as important as well, let us say this. I rather think I'd like to hear these two creative people continue why we are here, not why we gave the party, but why we're here to honor creativity.
Well, that's exactly what I meant. How did you come to give the party to honor them? How did you decide to do this?
Well, now I think that maybe, well, let us put it this way. I'm going to give it back to Merce Cunningham to tell you how that first you have a group of people that are here, and they are wonderful because they adore you. Not only that, they appreciate you, and I think this is the beginning, truly, of what you have in back of you because of their understanding and appreciation of you. And they're here. I think we should really give them a hand for what they've done. Now, and I don't think it's up to me to do that.
I don't think of this as honoring us in that sense. I think, or perhaps in the sense that Louise says that we are honoring the people who came. That I like very much. But I think between the three of us, it's a question of our sharing something which we love, and our friendship between us.
But it's more than that. May I?
Yes, yes.
I think it's more than that. I think it is a sphere of understanding where life has a rhythm, where life has a meaning, where life is life. Because I feel that many people, the majority, well, I'll twist it a little. See, I never would use the vulgarity of saying a common man that people use, because there's no such thing. People that can breathe and stand on 2 feet are no longer common, you see. No, it's true, you see. And so what I feel this evening that is important to me, anyway, I've said it a few minutes ago, is we are, when I say honoring, I mean there is, on both sides of me, one who is so aware of sound. Not a sound, because sound's all over, but the essence and the control of sound may not be conventional, but it is a new order of sound. Then we have another one who has a new order of moving. Now, when you move, that's life, because if you didn't have life, you wouldn't move. You see, and when that you are in control of some degree, I don't think, I must say, that any dancer, no matter how great, or any human being can control all movement. But I think that a great dancer controls more movement and aware of it, and don't think of it as movement, but thinks of it as life moving. You see? And so this is a very great evening, maybe one of the great evenings of my life. And God knows I'm old enough.
Louise, I can't add to that. What can you say except to thank you all over again for having this evening, for allowing for this incredible...
Yeah, well, until the time comes. Well, anyway, I must say that at least I feel that people like we can say that life doesn't take us, but we take life.
Oh, marvelous.
Of course, I think that, we have to face the fact that people did come here and to patronize the art of dance. And the fact is that there are so many dance companies, suddenly everyone has such great interest in dance at all. At the colleges, the dance recitals are outselling the rock events, and people are really getting into dance. How do you feel about young people's involvement in dance and this great surge of interest, especially in New York, in dance?
Well, I think that's delightful. I think that's about time for the poor dancers who've been working so long that lots of people begin to come and see it or begin to be interested in it one way or another. But I think it's not only just that. It's that our society has shifted into a visual society. And dancing is part of that. Dancing is just as visual as anything else. You have to look at it to see what's going on. And it has in it also, as Louise expressed so beautifully, the idea about life, about movement as being life, a moving image. However you see that, or whether it's something specific or something abstract or whatever, is part of life. And dancers have always felt that. And people now begin to see that in dancing, and don't demand something else from it. I think that's a marvelous and open and affirmative thing.
I think, the problem, of course, is that how do we sponsor all this dance? It costs such a tremendous amount of money to put on a performance. Do you feel that the expense is blocking the movement of the art of dance? Do you think that the financial area is a real block, to this?
Not in the least. I think you can dance in the streets. I think you can do dancing any place. I don't think that economics can block it. Dancers or people interested in dancing can think it blocks it. But that isn't going to stop it any more than it's going to stop people breathing. But what does help is that if there are more ways to present dancing, whether that involves money, funds, or help or not, the principal thing is to open it out, to think in different ways about allowing people to see it, or to see anything in life, not just dancing. But the more the ways are opened, the more that helps. But I don't think that stops anything.
How did you first conceive of the idea of taking the dance off the stage and putting it into the gymnasiums? And as you say, are you going to actually put it into the streets, dance?
Partly it's a question of the fact that if you can't dance in the theater, you'll dance someplace else, as they have all through history. It isn't a question of our being the first to do it. They did it in medieval times. They danced in the streets. Dancing is part of life. It simply goes on whether you see it or anybody else sees it or not. At the moment, lots of people are interested in it. So there are lots more places where it's done. And then if you begin to think it has to be done in certain ways, you only clog it down, you close it up. Whereas if you think it can be done any place, or that you accept the situation, whatever it is, whether it's a theater or whether it's the street or a church or an art gallery, use it all. Make it all useful to whomever might come to see it. I think the idea, if you think that money's going to stop you, then you're stopped. If you think that funds can help you, then they will help you.
Can you tell me how this all affects your music, and how do you, when you are, when they're dancing in the street or dancing in the Nassau Coliseum, how does this affect the music?
Well, I remember as a child going to see or hear rather a performance of a symphony in Detroit. It was. My mother took me. And I remember being fascinated by the horn player having to empty the horn of the water that he had blown into it. In other words, just listening to music, if we keep our eyes open, we see a kind of theater. And what this means is that a human being is not just ears. Music is not enough. We have eyes too, and what Louise has said is so part of my what I'm trying to say is that a theater of which music is a part is what we live.
Okay.
And of the theater that we have in the time that I have lived, it has been the dance of Merce Cunningham which has most inspired me. I have seen other theater that I loved, but not a theater which was as consistent as what he has done. And that's why I've worked so long with him. It's been now since the early 40s. And I suppose until, I know that Merce will go on dancing till the end. And I suppose until the end I'll go on making music.
I can't think of a more incredible gift to us all than if you would both continue to do that.
It should be. Well, that's living. That is living. You see,
Yeah.
And what you are saying is that you are going to live till the very end. Some people, they call it existing, and some people are living. You see? And that's right. And people say, they always, maybe it's something in me that wants compliments, but they compliment me. But I feel that when I'm doing not only what I understand, but it's the only thing that I understand. Well, no, I don't like the word understand. I feel that different people have different yardsticks of knowing or thinking they know what life's all about. And that is fair enough. Because we might come, say a wheel, a wheel has how many spokes? Many spokes. And many people, some go through one spoke, some another, and then there's a center. And so, in that center is the essence of living, breathing, what life's about. Now, I don't care if it's dance, composing, color, visual, they all come to that center. And in that center is the awareness, the seed of what, as far as we humans can understand, is life. You see, now, I don't want to say too much, but I will say this moment. in my life is the center. And I hope that this is only the A of the alphabet. And I would like to have B, C, D, and the rest. And when I come to the end, that I give a bouquet to both of these great people.
You'll have to join, I think, many who give them both bouquets, and you too, I'm afraid.
Oh, I'll take it. Grab it.
Okay. I think that, of course, it's the whole thing that Merce Cunningham goes on with something new and something avant-garde, always pushing forward, right?
Have we got a minute?
I like to see affection. It's fantastic.
Well, it's more than that. It's look, darling, it's not only affection, really, in my life anyway. It's appreciation, which is very different. I must tell you that I have never, I've got legs that won't bend. They stand like an Indian straight. And I like it that way. But I do appreciate more than I can express, because I have lived long enough to know what it means to stay on your line, and you have not much choice anyway, and to go through it. It's kind of a spiritual labor pain. But once you recognize it, there's no turning back. And I think this evening I'd like to really go on the record forever to say that this, after, many years of struggling myself, that how I appreciate it and how I appreciate these things. You see, dancing and music, people somehow have thought that these were luxuries. Now I reverse it and say that all the rest is the luxury, and these are the great necessities.
Oh, isn't that fantastic?
I agree. I think
it's very beautiful. Yes, dancing is necessary for me, but I think that's so beautiful the way you put it, because it becomes a way of life. Yes, for what we do.
You could not, or any of us couldn't. I remember way back when I wasn't working, and I got all physically crippled up. So it's very deep and very rooted. Well, anyway, we can't go into it too deeply, but maybe I was cruel, but I gave a lecture once, and there was a nice artist in the audience, and he said, and this was a rather fancy place too, and he said, well, but we have to eat, don't we? And I said, well, I don't think so. And under certain circumstances, I don't think so. You see?
Yes, I agree with that. Under certain unfortunately, for a dancer, that comes sooner than others for us. But I agree, absolutely. One has to do what one wants to do.
What's important? It isn't only what one...
No. By want, I mean what is necessary for one.
Right.
Yes.
You see, that is the important thing. To live is the important thing. You see, I make the distinction, to exist or to live. But when you see, that you can live, you cannot exist. You have to live, you see. But this one, is in a class by himself. Let's put it that way.
You mean the silence?
Well, not well, yes, silence speaks so loud. It's I'm really overwhelmed. It's deafening. What do you call it? Deafening me. That silence. It's killing me.
Oh.
But this is an interesting. No, I don't like the word interesting. But this is maybe in time, I can say that probably it'll be a moment of a certain kind of magic that only happens, maybe as rare as some star that, what are the stars that sometimes
Cahutek.
What?
The comet Cahutek, which only comes once in 10,000 years or something incredible like that.
Like that. You're stunned.
Oh. No, I'm not stunned.
Well, say it.
I'm full of admiration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I know that. And I must tell you, I know it. I'm sitting on my seat and I know it. Isn't that true, Diane?
Yes.
No, I think you're marvelous.
Well, I think it is true.
What a lovely trade.
Perhaps Mr. Cage can, we can ask you, a little bit about, can you tell us some of the interesting sort of things that happened when you were working with Mr. Cunningham? Can you tell us all about some of the incredible little things that must have happened as you were working out some new fabulous things?
Oh.
I
I think that the most interesting thing in principle is that we discovered how to work together without bothering one another. And when I first began to work with, to put music with dance, I noticed that the dancers were sick and tired of dancing to music, and that they wanted composers to write music for them. And in a sense, my life with the dance has been devoted to enabling the dancers and the musicians to do their own work and then to bring it together rather than one oppressing the other. I've tried to get rid of the oppressiveness of one of the arts for the other arts. There have been countless things that have happened as we've worked together over the years, and I've written stories about them. They're in my books. One of my recent texts is "Where are we going and what are we eating?" Because eating is so important for dancers, and when they eat. It's not just what they eat, but when they eat. They have to eat at the most curious hours, Louise. They have to eat when they're on tour around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when most restaurants are completely closed, because then after eating they have to sleep, and then at 6 o'clock, if the performance is at 8 or 8:30, they have to get up and work as though the day was starting afresh. And at 8 o'clock, they're as though in the middle of the day.
Has Mr. Cunningham gotten either of you on your feet moving, and has he ever talked to you about your own personal movement?
He tried to get me to stand up straight. This was years ago. But Edwin Denby, who was very perceptive about dancing and also about music, said that I oughtn't to bother about standing up straight, because if I did, I might lose my sense of rhythm.
Become too self-conscious probably about it.
Have you at all? Has he has he sort of got you to move, or?
You know, dear, I'd have to go into a whole thing, which I can't, but may I say this, that at least I recognize to fulfill what I wanted to do, I had to have, freedom of certain things. Now, no one ever has total freedom, and it isn't necessary to have it because no one could contain it. But you have to have control of freedom to a degree. And dance, I think, modern dance, to free the body, was one of the things I think that gave me the awareness to move into what areas I did. See, now, it isn't only dance. You have to recognize what is dance. It's movement. It's moving. That's life. And then the measurements. You see, you have choice. You have faith as such. Now, I'm not going into it because, you see, people can get caught in romance. They can get caught in a preconceived idea of beauty and all these words that I think are very dangerous. I really do. I think you have to think that someone has a mind and an awareness that they move in space, like a composer. Well, that is true. I didn't think of it, you sitting here. I really didn't. But that is it. That is it. But that's life. You see, that is life. Now, someone say, what do you mean about life? Well, maybe they never thought of what life was all about. Maybe they thought that life was going downtown, or life was meeting somebody. But there's another dimension beyond that. See, we see a building, right? Any building like this. Now, we think it's life to see the building, but if it didn't have another structure, that life that you see would collapse. You see? So that's why even in academic music, they have their harmonies and things. You can throw it over, but you have to recognize it. And the same is true of what I'm doing. Same is true. Really, if I didn't recognize it, I'd just have what they call, black wood. She picks it up on the street. I got an honorary from a very fancy college. Very fancy. And the president, when he gave me this honorary, said, Mrs. Nevelson is a scavenger of old wood. Well, who in the hell cares? But the point is all the tragedy that he had that kind of a mind. You see? He didn't recognize that the wood might have a world of its own.
Exactly.
You see? And he didn't recognize that every line was equivalent. It went through the process of aging with some tragedies, and there were nails in it, and hard winters, and it went through a lot of torture. Now, if that wood had been dead, that would have been powder. So the fact that it contained itself in a form meant it had a life of its own. Now that they don't understand. Now, in my case, I don't give a damn because I never made it for anyone. I recognized it for myself, and I live with it because it's a total awareness of what it is to me. See? Now, I think the same of what is happening to all of us.
Yeah.
We get beyond this thing. Now, to somebody else, they'll say, it's just nothing but old wood. Well, I'm sorry, Now, that's why I think this evening, right now, is so important, because we're not in that state of trying to do anything. We're just, stating things. Actually, you see, I don't want to make anything for anybody. I really don't. Why should I make anything for anybody? In principle, it's slavery, and I never want to do anything for anyone. What I did for me was I wanted to give an order, a recognition to my life. And if you see politics, I'm involved with politics because it's here. But it's here because I recognize it for me. I wanted to give meaning to my life. Now, I didn't want to make anything for anybody. I'm not that unselfish. My life I claim for me, not for anybody else. Now, that may sound funny.
Not at all.
No, but that's the way I feel.
Some of us appreciate your work and...
Oh, well then, now wait. Then I love that, because that means we are on the same wavelength. See? That's fine. It's like a mirror. Until we say, see the same wavelength, the same thing. But I don't even like the word work. I hate it. But I have never found for years another word to say, unless I use the word like. To say, I don't like the word. Why should I use the word work?
It has kind of a pejorative ring to it.
Yes, yes. So, also, I would have, not this evening, because it takes longer, to come to a common, to a denominator of recognition. You see? Well, anyway, I can see that we're moving a little bit into deep waters.